Liz, the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of
America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty.
liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Waring is away this week, but he is with us in spirit, and we hope he's having a marvelous time. That's not. All right, Commissioner, discussion, approval of minutes.
I have nothing to discuss.
Nor do I. All in favor?
I
Aye, motion carries. On to a discussion of last meeting's calendar.
have nothing.
Nor do I. We'll move on to previously signed documents.
I have nothing.
Can I interrupt about
Please.
the calendar?
Yes.
Because January first, your next meeting is.
Well, it can't be January first.
So would you be willing to entertain the second and third Monday, the second and fourth Mondays instead of the first and third? That'll be the 8th and
I am-
the second.
Fine with that, Deborah. I don't know
I'm
about
fine with
Commissioner
that.
Hodges.
Perfect.
However, Commissioner Waring is not here and he has a very quiescent schedule. So
Yes. All right, well,
You
let's
wanna-
tentatively go
Yeah,
with
and,
the second
you know,
and fourth and.
maybe shoot him a text next week after Christmas and see
Okay,
if he's okay with that. If not, we can adjust.
yes.
All right, thank you, Deborah. Is there a motion to approve previously signed documents?
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
I
Aye, the motion carries. Next up, our good friend Sheriff Wright is here. Sheriff, good evening. You have an update for us. Nice to see you.
Nice seeing you.
Thank you.
So it's been a little while since I've sat before you to give a department update.
Yes.
So to give you a little bit of information, hopefully you did get my letter with the information attached. Just to give you an update on where we stand right now with personnel. We are a fully staffed department. That includes the 8th dispatch position. That has taken us about 7 years to actually fill and keep employed. Right now, we have 36 sworn members. We have 16 civilian members. As far as data goes, from January 1st till the drafting of this letter, which was the 14th, we've had 1,723 new civil documents that we've processed. We've conducted 1,295 transports. We've made 466 arrests, which is up 23% compared to the same time last year. We've had 737 motor vehicle stops, 146 investigative reports. Our dispatchers have handled over 33,000 calls. They've entered 10,000 log notes, which are separate than calls. In the court division, they're looking at 3 judges being scheduled to work coming up soon. Overall, our department is up. Our documentable performance is up 42% compared to this same time last year. And most of that is self-initiated activities. Most of our work is self-initiated activities with the exceptions of documents that come in, which again, we've had an increase in documentation, civil process, as well as transports. We have 2 new vehicles that was approved this past year. We finally got those online. There was a hang up with the ordering of parts and all that stuff to get them online. So the lights and sirens and all that. But I'm proud to say that they are now currently working. We currently have 17 vehicles that are in the operations right now. That includes the ARV and the Bearcat ARV and the command post, the Hummer and all that. The radio project that we have going on right now, we're actually in the final stages of the radio project. So this is pretty exciting.
Good.
Our dispatchers and the command staff went down to 2-way communications and they got training, 2 days worth of training on the system. So an overall, the first day was an overall about the system. The second day was actually the intricate parts of it, how to operate it, how to work it and all that, to the point where if an individual officer has an open mic on their radio, our dispatchers now know how to actually beep that single officer and nobody else will know, but that officer will then be beeped and they can tell them, hey, you got an open mic. So it's an awesome system. They're starting to deploy it now. So last week, actually Monday of last week was the day that they dropped off 2 components here, which are rack systems. So huge rack systems. They dropped off 2 of them here that are the brains of the system. They put them in our communication shed. They just dropped off one of the tower sites gear up to Liberty Hill today. And they're gonna continue to deploy the equipment, as we get contracts with the tower companies. So that's gonna be pretty exciting that, that we're getting really close to that. I did get a couple contracts sent to me today, from the tower companies. I'm happy to report that, I'll have them for you next meeting, for approval, because of course they're multi-year contracts. But it looks like, the contracts that I have so far, we've been able to negotiate it down to be better than what was initially thought, so significantly. And I'll report that later. We've had several classes that we've hosted, through this office and being here on county property, which has allowed us to save some funds and to allow our personnel to continue their education in the dispatch functions, officer safety, court bailiff classes. One thing that we did this year was make sure that all of our personnel that work down at the courthouse have actually been to the AOC court bailiff class, which is something that if we hired them as a deputy, they would just utilize their law enforcement certification for that. But we felt that it was more beneficial to actually interact with the AOC and be part of that. So that was a good transition. We're going to continue to host trainings as much as we can. Again, it's going to save money and also it brings a connection to the community and the other parts of law enforcement community. So we get officers from all across the state as well as all across New England here. So that's a good connection thing. We're continuing to support the SART team, which is the Sexual Assault Resource Team, the Belknap Regional Special Operations Group, the BRAIT team, the Belknap Regional Action Investigation Team, and the New Hampshire Internet Crimes Against Children. So we're always looking to support those teams. We do have a few members on there, and that's pretty much a summary of what we're doing in the agency.
Okay. Bill, how was your attendance for these classes that you're sponsoring? Was there a lot of participation?
There is. So we have not had a class yet that has not been to capacity. So whatever the minimum capacity is, we've met and exceeded that.
What's the average number of attendees?
It all depends. We've had classes here where we've had 100 attendees, and then we've had other classes where it's been 10. So it all depends on the nature of the class, the cost of the class. But they've been well attended, and again, we open our doors and invite people in. So it's not only good for the education piece, but the community connection is big for us. So it's been very positive.
And are you more heavily involved this year? I know that your overall patrol rate is higher, which is, I think, a good thing. The Internet Crimes Against Children team, that's a statewide program.
It is, yes.
Are you more invested in that now than you had been earlier in your previous term?
We are, as it relates to allowing resources to be part of that. So actually assigning somebody to the team, we have not committed to that at this point.
Okay.
I have a lot of new staff, so they're still learning their ways within our agency.
Are you under pressure for that to?
No, not at all. Actually, I have people that work for me that are more than eager to do it. We're just looking at the appropriate timeframes to make that investment or that promise that will be part of this.
Okay.
So I see 2024 as being that continued growth from this year.
No questions. Thank you, Bill. Good report.
Thank you.
No questions, Commissioner?
No question.
All right.
I think I understand it.
Oh, I think you did too.
And then the next part.
Yes.
Which I think was.
Oh.
Yeah.
You
acceptance
might
of-
as well just go ahead, yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's the next thing anyways. So the acceptance of donation.
Mhm.
So based on what we've been doing within the community. And of course, I do a lot on social media in order to share what we're doing. And it's not just me, I have personnel that, post to social media, and we're trying to keep the public aware of what we're doing and why we're doing it. It's caused conversation about us being in and around different parts of the town, us being aware of that allows that for even law enforcement. So we are looking at the non-motorized, so these are pedal bikes, and they come in a value of $850 a piece. Now, of course, because we have two business owners that are looking to do this, we want to standardize the equipment, of course. So we gave them both the totals and said fully upfitted. We do have a couple deputies that are already trained, and we have a couple deputies that we would like to have trained. So again, it's part of continued education. It's also part of the buy-in with the sheriff's office and in additional functions. So it's a positive thing for all of us. So I'm asking that the Board of Commissioners allow this acceptance of these 2 donations and that we get this program going for the spring of coming up in 2024.
Bill, what is Mr. Dara's business in Pittsfield? Do we know what he does?
All I know is it's Dara Enterprises, so I'm not 100% sure exactly what he does.
Manufacturing machine shop, something like that, it sounds like.
I almost feel like it's well, I'm not even sure. I don't even want to.
Okay, that's all right.
But I know it's right at the Pittsfield line, right? It's in Pittsfield, but it's right at the Pittsfield Barnstead line, as you go across the main street in Pittsfield. It's a nice building on the right-hand side.
And the second donor is Brookside Pizza. Do we have a name of the owner here? Do I see it?
I must have failed to put it. It's actually Michael Campione.
Is he a younger fellow if I
He is,
recall?
yeah.
Okay, I think I
He's a
know.
little bit younger than I am. He's gonna be in his late 30s, early 40s.
And they're each going to chip in for half the cost of this bike.
It's actually 2 bikes.
It's
Each of them
2
are gonna
bikes.
purchase 1 bike apiece, fully upfitted.
Because it just says Trek 7 mountain bike, not bikes.
Yep.
Okay, so
Bike,
it's
yep, fully
quantity too.
equipped. Yep, and each has a value. So
And
it's-
is there any, obviously, whatever sheriffs are assigned to use these bikes, there'll have to be a certain degree of physical fitness involved.
Yes,
Is there any specific training they're going to need before?
yes. So they have to be bicycle patrol certified, which is typically a week-long class. Laconia actually was one of the regional hosts. But they go to that class, they learn how to appropriately ride these bikes and utilize them as a tool.
Is there a fee for that? training?
Yes, normally there's a fee associated with that, and I'm not sure what exactly that is, but it's definitely something that's
It
within.
can't be that much, and you would certainly have that in your budget, would you?
Right,
not?
it would be a budgeted item.
And that would be a one-time only training.
Correct.
Okay. Commissioner Hodges?
So have you talked to Laconia about how they're gonna handle, are they gonna, their e-bikes on the WOW trail? Because I would think they would want to be patrolling that.
Yeah, I haven't talked to Chief Canfield about what their intentions are with the e-bikes. I know that it has something to do with the federal funding. If you got the federal funding to do like the WOW trail, then you can't use these e-bikes on it because of the legislation. So I don't know what their plan is for that. And I know that Laconia has traditionally had a bicycle patrol. So I don't know if they plan on using a multitude of resources that are available to them, which is, again, e-bike when they're going to different parts of the town and then switching over to their pedal bikes when it's.
I mean, I think this is great. I do think it's too bad you can't get some e-bikes though. I mean, I have an e-bike and use it all the time for hunting and they're just great.
Trust me, I would love to get an e-bike.
You know,
I
they're
know my
just-
staff
they're just
would.
great.
But these were.
You can't look a gift horse in the mouth, I understand that.
These were out of the blue people that approached and said, we'd like to do this, we'd
And they're
like
nice
to-"
bikes.
So
Oh, sure, yeah.
maybe e-bikes will come up in
Maybe that's.
Sure.
future conversations.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we accept.
I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Bill, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Let us know how it goes. I know you
I
will.
most certainly will.
I'm sure it'll go fine. Okay, next up.
You want to just go ahead?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't-
There's just, yeah, while the sheriff is here, do you mind, Laurie? I don't. He has one other item of business.
Oh, I didn't see it here. I'm sorry.
It's under other, it's another.
Other business. Okay, we'll take care of other business.
So I left 2 quotes
Oh, yeah. yeah.
on your tables.
I got it.
So this is in relation to the IMC project that we have. It's the IMC consolidation project. We put out the RFP for the civil engineering portion of the project, which would include additional memory and things that we need, virtualization of servers, the connections and the hosting and all that stuff. We only had 1 bid come back to us that was outside of the initial quote and response from Mainstay, and that's through Intra-Systems. These were received today, so that's why they're on others. I was actually reminded about it about 3 o'clock this afternoon. So, but after reading through this, I talked to Tim, our IT coordinator, and asked him how he felt about this. there's almost a $50,000 difference between these two companies to do this work and to maintain the system, which is significant. When you're
Yeah, it is.
talking, one is offered at 68,000 and the other one is 116,000. So this is a significant difference in that. After talking to Tim and talking with the county administrator, I believe that I'm asking for us to accept a bid from Interest Systems to complete the work and also maintain the system for the duration of this project. And of course, the year that's associated with this contract.
So I think you're more familiar with Mainstay Technologies than InfoSystems, are you not?
Yes, we've been with Mainstay for a significant amount of
Yeah,
time.
so obviously I appreciate that you're saving the money and it's almost inevitable to not go with the bid that's that much lower. As long as we're certain that we're talking apples to apples here, as far as service, contract status, et cetera.
So all I can say is that I have to rely on our IT professional. I'm not an IT professional.
They're clearly
So
endorsing this.
they're clearly saying that this was apples for apples in the quote and apples for apples as it relates to what they're both offering for services. Yes,
Isn't Mainstay who we went with for the jail?
We've used Mainstay for everything.
Okay.
But we sort of knew this time, when we looked at Mainstay's initial quote, 116,000, we were all questioning it. It was a lot of money.
Sometimes complacency sets in from companies that you're
Yeah,
getting yourself.
So that's what the sheriff said. I really just can't
I know.
swallow that. We.
So
Kind of incredible.
to be honest with you, I'd like to stay with a company that I honestly know and everything else, but I can tell you fiscally and also I'd be remiss if I didn't say that amount of money difference is significant.
Yeah, it is.
And in this project, again, we need to continue moving this project forward, and that's a significant amount of money. So as much as it
Grand.
as much as it worries me to say we would switch to a different company, I have no other alternative than to say that's a significant amount of money.
Well, without the IT endorsement, we would have to look at this with a greater degree of skepticism and possibly even wait for the next meeting when Commissioner Waring is here to really go over it thoroughly. But under the circumstances, based on this endorsement from this individual, I would make a motion that we accept the sheriff's proposal.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, the motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Darren.
Thank you, Bill.
Good work. Thank you.
Is there anything else that you have of me?
No, I think we're good. Commissioner?
No, we're good.
Well, as I always say, my office is always open. I actually welcome you to come in and see what we continue to do.
I'll have to
That
stop in
office is pretty
sometime.
awesome, and the personnel, I can't say enough good about them, because they're just great people. So I do recommend to stop in at some point and meet our people and see what we're doing. It's pretty cool.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you. Okay, Commissioner, up next we have Lori Sharp with the financial update. And hopefully it's rosy news.
I'm Lori.
Well, good. I hope you think it is. I think it's pretty good. Good evening. Hi. All right. I'm not sure. I usually peek to see what order you have, but I'm not sure what it is, but we'll just go.
No
through it.
peeking,
Okay.
just presentation.
All right, so you've got a revenue report. If you look toward the end of that, you're gonna see that we are projecting a surplus at the end of the year, coming very quickly for $633,582. $452,000 of that is under the general fund, and $181,000 of that is coming out of the nursing home. We have collected all of the county taxes with the exception of one town, and we have spoken with them and are expecting to be receiving those shortly. So if you look on that row, you would see that the year-to-date revenue isn't the fully anticipated amount, and is with the exception of that one town. On the expense side, we are projecting, and actually just to back up on both revenue and expense, I always compare the reports this time to the last one. There is not tons of significant change. So I'm not really finding that there's anything there to point out specifically, just kind of focusing more on what we're projecting to have for surpluses. On the expense side, we're projecting a surplus of $1,200,002, actually $1,209,817. 877 of that is coming out of the general fund, and 245 of that is coming out of the nursing home. Between the two, the revenue and expense projected surplus is going to hopefully be adding 1.8 million to the fund balance. And you also should have a piece there that shows the amount being added to fund balance and the anticipated fund balance at the end of 2023. And of course, and it says that here, those are unaudited estimates. So that's kind of something important to keep in mind. And then it's also been updated to show what you were recommending to use for fund balance in the 2024 budget.
What was that fund balance figure?
The fund balance at the end of 2023 is projected to be 5,309,609.
But 1 million, 1.75 million will be going towards the budget we just submitted.
Towards the budget that was just the.
Okay,
So we'll be in the 3.5 neighborhood, which is okay.
Yeah,
It's on the lower part of the threshold, but it's not below the threshold.
it still is within what our
Oh,
policy.
that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
The other thing we have is a cash flow. Now, I have one here if you want to have it, but what I provided you is a 2024 cash flow. It does show 5.9 million coming into the new year. And that shows the same thing on the 2023, which I have here. And based on the cash flow that I've provided, we anticipate that we're going to need to borrow sometime within March. And so that you've already approved up to 14 million with the treasurer in November. So that should be ready to go for the next steps on that. And then I have also provided you with a receivable, and as of November, the receivable remaining for 2022 is roughly $65,000, just under that. But collections there continue to be around 90, it fluctuates, it's 95, 96, 97%, but definitely within that range, and that is obviously I think very good place to be. The next financial update, which would be, I think we just said probably toward the end of January, I'll come to you then with a recommended write-off amount for the nursing home receivable. And currently in the allowance for doubtful accounts is $45,000. And so that amount is already sitting there, that has already affected the fund balance. It's kind of quick, but I think that was the highlights of all of what I had to provide you.
other than that, I'm just very pleased with the fund balance, you know, that we're gonna be able to make a good contribution to the budget, to keep the tax rate down and stay within our parameters of a healthy fund balance that hopefully we can build up again next year.
So Lori, as you'll recall at our budget presentation last week, one of the representatives seemed a little bit distraught that our 2023 budget had about $1 million surplus in it of unspent monies. And my response to that was, that's a good thing.
Yes.
It's much better than the alternative being $1 million short.
Yes.
And while we don't expressly write the budget every year to reflect that much of a surplus, I think it's a reflection of responsible fiscal stewardship on the part of the department heads and county administrators. So
And that was borne out by the audit report. That you folks can see that was stellar.
Yeah, and I think everybody agrees with that.
good. Deborah, any questions for you or any comments? All right, thank you, Lori.
You're welcome. I think I'm also next.
Oh, that's.
You don't have to
Yes,
leave.
oh, the postage machine. Tell us about it.
Okay,
We want to hear, we want to hear.
all right. So the county has 4 postage machines. They're all either coming due or just barely due for renewal. So we've received some pricing information from the current company we have been dealing with for 5 years, Pitney Bowes, and also another company who we lease our copiers from, Formax. They both are proposing a 5-year lease. Pitney Bowes is $2,740.80 annually. And Formax is $3,079.20 annually. So Pitney is $340 a year less for the same quality product and service. They both compare. So what I'm recommending is, because of the 5-year multi-year lease, that the commissioners would approve the 5-year contract at the lower cost, which would be with Pitney Bowes for $2,740.80, and also authorize the county administrator to sign all related documents, which are the formal lease documents. And I can answer any questions you might have about that.
So, Pitney Bowes, pretty well-known company.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they're coming at a low price point
I was too.
than Formax. So Commissioner Hodges, I mean, to me, the machines are probably identical. Everything,
Right.
so,
Pretty good with Pitney Bowes.
okay, so anything else you'd like to add?
No, I was just gonna say that the machinery, the equipment they've both quoted us, it's comparable. It's obviously just updated because it's what we have is older.
Okay,
You want a motion?
yes, please.
Make a motion, we go with Pitney Bowes.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, the motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I also just wanted to say one more
There's more.
thing, and that is, well, I wanted to acknowledge Angela did a lot of work on this, and I very much appreciate
Angela always
it.
does a lot of work.
Thank
you, Angela.
Asset to the county,
Yes.
hands down.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Angela. And Lori, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lloyd.
You're welcome.
Ms. Shackett, we have already covered other business, as I understand it.
Do we have something?
Well,
here?
other-
Police department?
Yes,
Oh, yes, yes.
there's another other.
Is that the last piece for other business? Is there more?
It's the last piece for
Public
other
business.
business.
Public business.
Yeah, this is a request from Laconia Police Department to just formalize that you are not interested in a grant that they are applying for, that the county is not interested. And the sheriff already notified them that the sheriff's department is not interested. It would be highly unlikely that any other department would be interested. And this is a ongoing grant, and it's been several years now that the county has opted out. So,
So is there any potential benefit to the county
What
to
was the
come in
grant?
with this grant?
no, and the grant is due, I believe, very quickly here. We were notified Friday.
And when is the deadline to submit the grant?
I don't know. I don't know when the deadline is,
What
but
is
I
it?
don't believe the county is interested.
Do you know, Bill?
So I think it's a burn shank grant, and in years past, like Laconia had put in, because we're a disparate jurisdiction, it's that disparate jurisdiction thing. So, like in years past, I think we put in for like 7 helmets, and they got like 17 rifles.
Mhm.
And of course, don't quote me on the totals, because I'm not 100% sure, but it was, things like that. I don't think we've actually done anything with this grant, as a disparate, jurisdiction. Mostly because Laconia has been benefiting from it, and they're, of course, a larger, municipality. So, what we would have to put in to get the grant compared to, what they benefit from, it's better at this given point for us to not do that. I already have enough projects going on, so, I've been hesitant to jump on board with a additional grant for that. I think we got cameras one year. We did a camera thing, some helmets, night vision. So there's various things.
Would we be competing with them for the grant building or getting in with them?
Ultimately, it would be shared. So it would be, so I won't say that we're competing, because it's a shared grant with us saying, we don't want to go in as a disparate, jurisdiction. That allows them to get the funding in full. And normally, I think I really want to say that the funding is traditionally below 20,000. So it's for miscellaneous items that they would not normally put into a budgetary
Would we
process.
share the swag between the sheriff's department and the police department?
So,
If
well,
there are
we
10
have a
helmets,
good,
you get
we have a
five.
good relationship. So if we needed a piece of gear, I could call up and say, you guys have this? And they would traditionally say, sure, we'll hook you up and let you use it or whatever. So we've been that way for years and years and years. But things that are more itemized or more specific to individuals, like helmets and things like that, we wouldn't share that type of stuff. Which is most certainly things that we could put in for. But, like I said, I come before you with grants quite often. And, we have enough big projects going on right now that, trying to squeeze this stuff in a short period of time and in between meetings, and it's just, at this point, for what little grant it is. Laconia has somebody that's focused on doing just grant stuff, so I have said that I'm not interested in applying for the grants at this given time.
So Bill, if the commissioners thought this were a good idea, wouldn't Lieutenant Hubbard be responsible for drafting the grant and submitting it?
He would, yes.
So it wouldn't take any of your time.
Well, it would be, what do we want? So Laconia is gonna put in for it anyways. It's whether or not we wanna jump onto the coattails of that or not would be the process.
What is the advantage to LPD to draw us into this joint grant?
There's not, other than,
Is this just
They-
a courtessy that they would ask us?
so they cannot apply for the grant just themselves. They require us to do it because they share our jurisdiction. So,
Do you know what they're asking for? in
no,
this
I do
grant?
not.
You know what the 20,000 a year-
I received a very generic email, so I don't know what equipment or anything, and I know the county administrator reached out to them trying to find out more. Again, it's always, I think I got the email on Friday, I think, Friday, and then I forwarded it directly to the county administrator, and here we are Monday, so like, everything, all these grants always come up, and there's such short duration windows for us to apply for. So our process here for me to come before you and, hope that I catch a meeting and then get all the quotes and everything that we want. Sometimes it can be very, we can be very constrained with that. So again, for what little benefit the county would see at this given time, I opted to say I'm not interested.
So can they apply for this without the sheriff's office?
Yes, that's why they require a letter from us saying that we are not gonna try to go in with them
Okay,
as a disparate.
so you're certain that we can't use any products that this grant will create?
No, so we can always use gear and equipment.
Right.
It's to how quick we're gonna get it and the approvals and all that. So you folks meet every 2 weeks. And for me to get the information together, present it, request, and all that, it becomes a convoluted, complex problem.
I mean, can the timing
Me
work?
Trying to do everything in time.
I know you don't like this, Bill, so but I just have to get it out there.
Sure.
So is this a timing issue or is this a clerical issue for your department issue that you don't feel the juice is worth the squeeze here?
Well, the juice is definitely not worth the squeeze at this given point. So, because they're too far along in the grant process. Again, this is a short window grant. And they already know what they want. So they've already forecasted this. We would need to sit down like now and discuss what we want for next year and then jump onto the grant, be prepared for that at that given time. The idea, like, again, we have a $1.8 million radio project that we're working on. We have a $600,000 IMC consolidation project going on. We have bicycles that are being donated. Like, we already have enough projects going on that I just think that having staff to be able to look up for grant stuff and then to submit it to you folks in a timely manner in which you would expect. I just don't think that the juice is worth the squeeze in this particular juncture.
Does it is this come around every time this time of year?
Yes.
I don't recall seeing it last year, Deborah.
I think it might be every 2 years, because he gave me a sample letter from 2021 and a letter from 2019 that were signed by the county commissioners saying that they were not interested at this time. I think the state of whoever's awarding this grant is not going to award it to the city as long as they think the county might want to be involved. So they need the county to say, we're not interested, give it all to the city.
I mean, it would be helpful if we knew what was at stake here as
Right.
far as the amount of the grant and what exactly the city's looking for. For all we know, it's
But
two
we're not-
e-bikes and we would get an e-bike for the sheriff's department. So, and Bill, you made it clear,
I know where the sheriff's coming from.
I understand
I
it
honestly
completely.
do. It's between a rock and a hard place, really. But on the other hand, I hate giving something up. That's grant oriented.
Oh, I totally agree, but I look at it like this, Laconia is one of those agencies that we work very close with, we share the city. If they obtain a piece of equipment and we need it, most likely they're gonna be part of our processes anyways, or they're gonna lend it to us. So at this given point, again.
So you're saying they're gonna get it anyway, whether we can
Well,
join with them or not?
I think that there's a hangup if we were to not respond to it. I think there may be some complex problems with
But if-
getting the grant. I'm not 100% sure on their processes on that. But because we share the jurisdiction, I know that the grants management office requires us to submit some form of letter saying we either want to be on board or not.
Well, that's because they would rather give it to a regional department than they would a local.
Correct.
They feel they're getting more bang for the buck for the sheriff's department to get these grants on a local department.
Correct. But I see a benefit to Laconia getting these grants as well, especially with as short money as they are, even though that they enhance what we have for equipment. I just honestly believe at this given juncture, it's I think we're a little late on if we wanted to jump on board on this.
I really hate that this, you're more in tune with this than me. But looking at it from a higher altitude, if we can do LPD as solid and facilitate them getting something that's going to benefit their department, that could possibly be shared with your department, seems to me that might be the way to go. Now,
I think Billy's saying they're gonna get it anyway. Is that what you're saying?
I think that they'll end up getting it anyways. So whether or not we want to jump on board and take a piece of that pie that they have is what the question is in place right now.
once the grant is received.
Well, you have to apply for it. So I would have to come before you to request the opportunity to apply for it. And then I have to figure out what it is that we're applying for and then get you all the quotes for that. So there's just a lot of things that I think are in our process that convolute this system. And for the response from Laconia asking for our letters, we've kind of gone beyond that. Let's try to get something together.
I mean, the way I see this letter is Lieutenant Hubbard isn't asking us to become involved if it's not a benefit to what he's trying to do here.
Correct.
So
So they would like the funds.
they would like the grant funds,
Yes.
not from the county.
Right. It all comes from this grant and it would go to
So-
Laconia.
In accepting this request, we're improving his chances of receiving this grant for the city.
Yes, like he will get the grant. These are.
100%.
If we said now we want to get involved, it would bring Laconia to a screeching halt. They would have to stop, figure out what portion, what do we want, how much of it are we looking to get? And then how much is
50-50
left for
split,
them?
But I guess the
And
way.
we don't have time
You know,
to do that.
Commissioner Hodges, I'm gonna ask you as a favor to dust off your sheriff's hat and sit in Bill's chair just for a moment and look at it through that prism.
I know he's busy and I know.
I
got
know
a
he's
lot of
busy
things
too.
going.
That's what I want to hear from
Yeah.
him.
We don't have a grant writer full-time, I guess, like.
Well, we have a
But-
sheriff.
Like,
We have a sheriff who can write a grant.
Well, we do.
He may not want to write this grant.
But to
He's-
phrase it that, like you just did, seems to me, shame on them, they should have come to us earlier.
I don't disagree with that.
Right.
I
If
say-
they'd come to us if they'd come to us a month ago,
Yes,
would you be looking at this more favorably?
probably so.
It seems like because it's just, like I said, they should have come to us earlier on this.
I don't disagree with that. But at times, there's things like they are under the same restrictions that we are, and they have rolling grants that they're constantly dealing with too. So, they have personnel that are actually in an administrative role that part of their job is to find this stuff and to work with other departments to try to come up with a language to write these grants and so on and so forth. So, listen, for us, our department has been on the move since the beginning of the year. We've had, again, ongoing projects and things. So I just don't think that at this given time today, that we should be jumping on board with trying to get grant money for equipment that I'm not sure what we would put in for at this point. So,
Commissioner Hodges, you have the advantage of having served in his chair for many years. But I'm looking at this letter and it seems to be incomplete. What's the deadline?
Yeah, it doesn't tell us anything.
What's the number of the grant?
How
And
much
what
money?
items does the department desire? Without that, how can we make an informed decision other than say, we'll decline at this time? If we decline at this time, I think we should make a mental note, and perhaps you should make a clerical note, that if the grant is accepted, let's see what they get in items, and maybe next year we can collaborate with them.
Or maybe put a little post-it note on your desk for next September to give them a call.
Right? If it's a post-it note, it's gonna get lost. I'll put it in my calendar,
However you do that, Bill.
right?
If there were
They
over
fully
20,000, go
expected
ahead.
that this was just gonna be
Slam dunk.
yeah, in fact,
You mean we would just say, sure, let's do it?
yeah.
But it's incomplete and we should let them
Yeah,
know
I'd
it's
like
incomplete.
to know
Well, I can
now.
tell, he did send me, I have more information in my email, I was just looking for it in there.
You can't
He
find
did
it?
tell me what, I can't find it in here, what they were buying with it, but that's.
Did you have any
what-
recollection what they were buying?
No, I would have said it by now, because clearly you're curious, but I don't know what they're buying, it's not anything, what they're buying isn't anything I think we want. And it's not a matter of, do we agree that they should buy it or not, that's not our
That's not our,
concern at all.
no.
No,
Ours is just simply,
But
at this
we-
point in time, it's too late for us to jump into this. As they probably well knew, that there's no possible way at this point, we're gonna jump on board with this. But
Well,
they need to provide documentation that the county said, no, we're not interested, you can have it all this year, Laconia.
because this is incomplete to me, then I think either we postpone, which I don't think is feasible, or that we defer to the sheriff and the county administrator's opinion and say, we're gonna punt on this one.
I think we know their opinion.
Well, we loud and clear.
And we've, in
We
the
don't
county,
leave any money on the table for the
I know.
city either.
and the county administrator and I have had recent conversations about our grant processes and how we doing this in planning for future grants and things. There's just a lot of steps that we have in the grant procedures and that we could probably streamline and get things more in tune with what we want for the future.
Could we go with the administrator and the sheriff? And send a letter from the commissioners to Town Hubbard?
Thank you for the invite.
Thank you for the invite. Could you
Please, in the future, give us the amounts of the grant, the purpose of the grant, the items included in the grant, and the deadline for the grant, and who's responsible for writing the grant.
And. could
Well, I don't want
use-
you to hold it up for that, because I.
No, I'm not.
We're not
I'm
holding it up.
I'm not saying.
We're
hold
gonna,
up that.
we're gonna vote it down,
Well, you
Deborah.
can chastise him, because he did send the grant application. I have it, if you wanna see it, I had no
I-
idea.
you know-
You said it came late.
It came late.
That's what I'm upset
Can you
about.
just grab that
Yes.
so we can vote on this with a
Yes.
clear conscience? Thank
Yes.
you.
Well,
You know, I'd like to put it to bed, Commissioner, but I think we should have as many facts at our disposal as possible before we do.
I agree. And I don't wanna hang the sheriff out either.
Well, I know, and I certainly, you know, have the
This is-
utmost.
I get just as frustrated with some of these cooperative processes. But again, I also look at the moving parts that I have going on with my agency and I go, which part do I need to get on that or not? I mean, I still have highway safety grant stuff that's hanging out there right now. So, you know, I've been trying to get it before you folks, but I just don't have all the complete documents, so I'm definitely not gonna come before you on
Yeah.
that.
And this is incomplete, what we have here.
Correct.
And I know if you dislike something, it's for a good reason. I'm not disputing your motive. But the commissioners would just like a little more information before they vote it down.
Maybe send a letter.
I mean, it's dated today. But we just got it.
No.
She just got it today. She just got the email today.
References. The Laconia Police Department's fiscal year 2023 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant.
That's Jack Grant.
Which means it's going to get submitted this week.
Wouldn't that grant be for next year?
I don't,
Well, that's the other thing that I didn't know. I didn't know if this was
That
like they
is-
didn't have the appropriate documents for what they already purchased. Like, I don't know.
I would think if you're applying right now, late December for a grant, it wouldn't be for awarded this year.
Right, it would be fiscal.
Be 2024 funds.
Yeah. So when the email originally came to me, I forwarded it directly to the county administrator and
Yeah.
said, this is addressed to the commissioners. To me, but
can you find that on your phone, that email? Do you have it?
the original email for
would it be more complete than what we're looking
No,
at?
I had it was very little.
It was vague for
information.
you
It was
too?
Very vague.
But Deborah has more, we think Deborah has more.
Could you get the commissioners to sign this letter as previous years, and that was pretty much it.
Google Burn Memorial. I'm familiar with Burn Memorial Fest, but I was familiar with them.
Okay, well, this is our last piece on the agenda anyway, until we go to non-public.
Yeah.
So we have a few moments to just review this thoroughly. I think we should.
Right here, that the grant was, the 2023 grant was closed October 24th, 2023.
Then you're right, this would be for 2024.
Have to be.
In which case there may be more time to do a deeper
Would have
dive
to
on
be.
it.
Or is this a closeout? Like, is this a closeout and they forgot this letter and they're trying to get the grant letter? I don't know.
I don't know, but
Well,
it's
they
a grant
missed the
government.
deadline if it's, oh, would you come up
Well,
with?
they might have already applied for it and they need the documentation, but I'm not sure. That's just me thinking out loud.
Yeah, it might be because it does say federal award date 11/17/23.
Yeah, get that on my phone. It's when the closing date was for the 23 grant.
All right, so, see on here, well, oh, do you have a copy of this?
Yeah, this letter here, I do.
This is,
So
I only
helmets,
printed page
no, it's
one.
Maury helmets, it looks like.
Yeah. It's 23 pages, but I only gave you the front page because it shows you what they're buying with it. And total amount is $11,009.
It's a small amount.
The only thing I don't know is what the actual due date. But like I said, it does say on here that the federal award date was November 7th, 2023.
Bill,
It's
even
been awarded.
if you don't need the helmets, I mean, they want the helmets.
Yeah, of course. They put in for this gear so they can continue their rotation of gear. You know, when you look at the project date, the project start date is 10/1/22. Project end period 9/30/24. I don't know enough about this grant to say whether or not this was a continuation of a grant that they already had and that every year they get a certain amount of money towards it, but they have to get the signatures from the board and they have to get a signature from me as well. But I'm not sure. I don't know enough about this grant.
It appears to me that it's already been awarded.
So this could be,
Yeah, so
that-
Laconia.
So why are they?
It appears to me they
Because
applied
they
for it in 2022 and it got awarded to them on 11/7/23,
Okay.
federal award date.
So if that's the case, we don't need to respond to this request because it's moot.
Well, they're asking for a letter because someone at the grant office is requiring that they get a letter from the county board of commissioners saying that you're not interested in participating in that.
After the.
After
it's
the
been
awards are
awarded?
granted,
I wouldn't be surprised at that, but I don't know if that's the case. You can see it says federal award date
I wouldn't-
November, so maybe they already awarded it.
Peter,
Like our grants sometimes have special circumstances and they're asking us for
just get a
paperwork
letter.
after the fact.
No, I
No, we're
wouldn't.
not gonna post a letter. I have a
But
letter.
I'm wondering-
Should you so desire, but it's
Could,
dated
could,
today.
could we just hold on a little bit and find out from them if this has been awarded?
And if it has,
It's a moot point.
well, what if the grants, like I was trying to
I mean, could
say.
the grant be contingent on us
after-
signing off on
yes,
this letter?
Yes, there
And
are
if
special
so,
conditions.
why isn't that stipulated in Lieutenant Hubbard's letter? Why isn't it there?
You should, I guess every year he's done nothing more than say, can you please get a commissioner to sign this? And they have signed it.
Well,
I
I'd like
don't
to,
remember signing anything last year.
It was 2021.
I think I was here in 21.
Yeah, you signed it. That's the one he sent me.
Then why didn't it raise
It's
such a ruckus
exactly
that
this
time?
letter.
I would like,
Commissioner?
I would like a letter from Lieutenant Hubbard, explaining to the commissioners if this grant has already been awarded. And that our decision to join the grant is a moot point at this time,
If he's been awarded the helmets, yeah.
if we've been awarded, yeah, something to that effect.
All right, all right.
How's that sound, Bill?
Sounds good.
And I don't want to take any actions till we get that letter, I'm sorry.
Well, I don't see how we can. I don't want to deprive the department of 50 helmets that they need,
No,
even though, and Bill, you don't really have a use for any of that, right?
Well, no, I won't say I don't have a use for helmets, because we most certainly do. I mean, I have deputies that.
How many of those helmets could you use if you had your
Well,
choice? You
I mean, I
drivers.
can tell you, I have 36 sworn personnel, so, you know.
So
both
you
of
could
them-
use 40
Exactly the
helmets
same-
too.
Basically the same amount, but the same token, I don't have quotes, I don't have the type of helmets, like there's other things,
Yeah,
so I
yeah.
don't, so.
at this point, they couldn't get the helmets awarded them because they applied for them and then give them away to us, they'd be in trouble with the grantee.
All right, let them keep the helmets. If we need helmets, we can find that in your budget to get you what you need for safety equipment.
So again, I look at this as, they've already applied for the grant, if they've already been awarded the grant, my stance as the sheriff is that I recommend to the
You don't
board
want-
that
okay,
you
we
sign the
understand
letter and that you send it to them and say, guess what, next year we're putting in for this, or next year we're gonna review this a little deeper, or however we want to do this, but, there are officers right now that are patrolling the streets of Laconia where we currently sit, and, they could use these helmets, and I most certainly, as the sheriff, don't want to stand behind that, because these guys are working 24/7. So my idea is that for $11,000, I sign a letter saying I'm not gonna try to get onto their grant at this time.
We're in agreement with your position, but we're gonna go forward with Commissioner Hodges' proposal to the county administrator.
Yeah, I just want to
Commissioner
know
Hodges.
if this is a workaround, and I'm not real happy about it, but that's okay.
So Deborah, you can copy all three of us if you hear back in the next day or two from Lieutenant Hubbard. And you don't have to scold them. I'm happy to speak to the chief, but in the future, if they can give us more of a heads up, maybe we can help them. Maybe it'd be of greater service to the city. Rather than just have this drop in our laps out of the sky.
Yeah, I got it. I'll ask them for a letter. It's not a problem.
You know, when they certainly didn't give the sheriff enough information for him to proceed. One way or the other. So his first instinct was probably his best. We're gonna, we'll have to decline. There's
Yeah.
not enough here to
let
go.
him do it.
All right, Bill, thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Sorry it took so long, but we have to be thorough here. When it comes to grants, free money.
My involvement was done. I'm just here to answer questions.
Okay, well, thank you for that. So Deborah, we took care of other business. I see a pretty blonde in the corner. Any comment from the public? Apparently
And you
not.
are who? No. She
I
tagged
do have a
along.
non-public.
She tagged along with me tonight.
So is there a motion to go to non-public?
So moved.
Second, roll call?
Commissioner Spanos?
Yes,
Commissioner Hodges?
Yes.
we are in non-public.